This lesson introduces legged array or jagged array. Some textbook refers to as an array of arrays. And then this is a two-dimensional or dimensional array that has different elements or different size of elements. So important here is that array of arrays. So let me explain this one first. So when we're dealing with one-dimensional array or single-dimensional array, this is how I draw or how I visualize it. So object. Okay, normally I draw vertical. It can be draw horizontal as long as one array reference variable refers to 3 elements. It's exactly the same thing. Then two-dimensional array I draw with rows and columns. So we can see that we have 2 columns, and then I will make it as 3 rows. I will say AA. We have a series of numbers 10 to 60. So if you're looking at the one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array can be seen as a single-dimensional array of another single-dimensional array. Let me visualize it, what I mean by that. So let me draw single-dimensional array that also refers to another single-dimensional array. So first place refers to another single-dimensional array. Second position also refers to another single-dimensional array with 2 elements. Last position also refers to another single-dimensional array with 2 elements. So let's say B AA, exactly the same thing. We have a single-dimensional array number 10. That's 20, and then 30, 40, and 50, 60. Again, middle one we can refer to index variable like AA0, AA1, and 2. So let's look at the legged array. Same idea, but slightly different. So we have a array reference variable. This time the first row has 3 elements, or we can refer to 2 columns. And the second row we have 2 elements, and then third row we have only 1 element. So let me just type 10, 20, 30. Continue, 40, 50, and then 60. And the one-dimensional array length is 3. And then if you move to two-dimensional array, a dot length is also 3. I mean size of array. Sorry, that should be 3. Then when we're looking at first row, a 0 and the length. First row has 2 elements, so it will be 2. And then second and third row also has 2 elements. That's correct. Let's look at length array. PP length. We have 3 rows, so 3. And if you look at the first row, we have 3 elements or 3 rows. So that will return 3. But second row, which is 1, that will be 2 size. And then third row, which is number 2, that will return only 1. Again, you can clearly see that two-dimensional array, especially a length array, has a different size for each rows. Let's create a new project. Okay, let me bring it up my diagram. Let me put comments, then I will demonstrate it. So instead of using array reference variable as a PEP, I will change to my array. So let's say because here we can see actual values, so we can introduce 3 rows using shorthand rotation here. 1046. Okay, let's create 3 rows. Okay, that's all, I think. Let me print out the size of array. Say my array dot length is going to return number 3. Basically saying there are 3 rows. And then here my array 0 length is going to say we have 3 elements. that belongs to first row, 10, 40, 60. Then I will do the same thing for the second row and third row. They will return number 2. That's going to be 2, and they will return number 1 for one element. Let's see. Again, 3 and 3, 3, 2, 1, that's correct. Printing legged array is exactly the same as printing just normal two-dimensional array. So I will just create a simple methods called print array. Again, it's the same as just printing two-dimensional array. If you can, please stop video and then please try to type it by yourself. Then you can resume. Now, second loop, we are going to process columns according to I, which is row. Depends on the length of each row. What we're trying to do is just print actual value. So say my array I and j. I will leave one space, and then I will separate the columns. Sorry, rows. So let me include a new line. So 10, 40, 60, 20, 50, sorry, that's correct. Let's look at a different way of setting up legged array. This time, what if we don't know the actual values? But at least we know that there are 3 rows, but without knowing how many columns. Okay, those 3 elements here, I'm referring to 3 rows. So we know that we have 3 rows, but we are not sure about number of elements for each rows. So if you are going to use the same example, that's an index of course 0. And then 1 and 2. So 0 has here for BB, has 3 elements, 10, 40, 60. Second row has 20 and 50. The last last row has elements number 30. So we're going to follow the same story. Say we have 2 elements. The last row we say is that we have only 1 element. That's how you declare. So if you run this program, it's going to give us all default values, 3 zeros, 2 zeros, and 1 zero. Okay, so that's how you declare. Let me redraw for what I mean by array of arrays. So one dimension array. Let me copy paste it and make a minor change. So first row we have 10, 40, and 60. So let me copy 60 to first row. So we have the same thing, 10, 40, 60, and 20, 50, and then 30. Okay. But we don't have this reference. Because if you look at line number 20, 29, 30, in front of new, there is no name of the array reference, but we just assign the value directly. So that's what I mean by cross out that particular small rectangles. It is array, but it doesn't have a name of that array. Okay, that's the coding 28 to 30. And that's how we visualize it. Now next one, I will try to add actual values, 10 to 60. So let's say this time, what if we know the values of the elements, like the array? What can we do after we declare like the array? So my array and then 0. Syntax will be it's going to be looks a bit strange. Then new anonymous array. We have no object array reference variable int. Then we can list elements Again, here new, follow the same int array and then list the elements. And then we do the last one. So line number 33, 34, 35 looks like the one-dimensional array refers to another one-dimensional array. That's what I mean by an array of arrays. But no matter what array reference variable, a single array reference variable refers to three different size of a single dimensional array. So that's the idea of a lagged array. Let me look at one more options to declare lagged array. This time I will try to combine together. Again, we continue from line number 27. This time I will use the same rotations. Shorthand the rotations here. We know that 10, 40, 60. For second row, that depends on a single dimensional array, AA. Let's go back and then declare a single dimensional array. 20, sorry, that should be 20 and 50. So now we can add a to second row. We can do the same thing for third row. This time I will use again a bb new and int one space. Then bb we find out the value later on, saying that 10. Then can assign to my array third row. You look at the answer, it's the same, isn't it? So that's how you can play with lagged array. It can be very useful in certain case. I know it seems a bit complicated, but it will give us smaller size of two-dimensional array. We don't have to make a bigger two-dimensional array that cannot be used for every columns. In that case, we can consider using lagged array. Okay, let me go back to comments and then adjust some descriptions. There should be read as 3 rows. Then here should be inner columns of lagged array. I'll do the same thing below. Then that's all. Thank you.